It has been a hot minute, but we are back. Back in the realm of things. This is EiEi Podcast episode, I think, 8 or 7. I think it's 7.
It's 8. It's
okay,
8.
It's 8. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. We recorded an episode back in October, but we didn't release it until January. So it feels like it's been a lot longer of a break than it has, but it hasn't actually been that long. I'm Jeff Compass. I'm joined by some lovely people here. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Jonii from the YouTube channel Jonii, and my name is Jonii.
True.
My name is Ninjastar Compass from the channel Ninjastar Compass, and my name is EiEi, and I really like bananas.
Are you amazing? Are you the amazing EiEi?
Yes.
And I am Pixel Pursuit, also from the YouTube channel Pixel Pursuit, and I also do Twitch stuff as well sometimes.
Emphasis on sometimes.
Yeah.
New topic today. We're going to be talking about Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. It released over a year ago now, a year and 4 months ago, if I remember correctly.
I think that's about right.
I still have nightmares about it.
Yeah, I have nostalgia for it. I mean, my kids played it while growing up. Now they're moving out, and it was a good game for its time. All right, it defined a culture in a generation. But in all seriousness, we're gonna give our thoughts on it. There has not been much Monkey Ball news in the time since. It's just kind of an interesting thing to look back on. What are your thoughts, everyone? What do you think about Banana Blitz HD? Now that it's been about a year, the golden shine from it is kind of wearing off, or if it has not worn off already. And I think it's time to look at this game maybe in a different lens than we previously did, just because of that time. And we'll discuss over the last year, how things have changed in the community and with that game specifically.
Well, since the game came out, I've actually gone through and played every single one of the other games. So now when I look back at Banana Blitz HD, I'm looking at it from the perspective of somebody that's played all of the other ones. And it makes you really appreciate just how bad Banana Blitz HD is. It's easily one of the worst ones in the entire series, I think. Probably second only to the original Banana Blitz, which is even worse.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I actually have also played all the Monkey Ball games since, because I didn't actually have a complete collection. I also went back and got every single game. Banana Blitz HD is kind of interesting, because it's you would think looking at every game's 3D, it's oh, that has to be way better 3D. It's kinda. I don't know. I don't think it's the second worst one, but I do think it's on the lower end to really analyze it.
Yeah, I mean, it has some interesting ideas, definitely, that are taken from some of the others. I do like some of the improvements it made to the original Banana Blitz. Obviously, the fact it doesn't use motion controls is a huge plus in my opinion. But there's also the other stuff, it's got the online leaderboards, it's got unlockable skins. So there are some things it added. But then again, when you look at the other Super Monkey Ball games, they all already did that before Banana Blitz HD. And in fact, the skins you unlock in Banana Blitz HD are just taken straight from Super Monkey Ball 3D, which I didn't realize at the time when I first played it.
I do think, looking at it from that kind of outward perspective, I think the game as a whole presents itself really nicely, because you have these flashy menus. It's whoa, it's got a theme song, you can unlock all these costumes, it looks super cool, and then you start playing the game and it's this is very okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not it's not an awful game or anything, but it's just definitely lower tier. I do have to agree with you though that the menus and the theme song is very good. The theme song is probably the best thing about the entire game.
Oh, absolutely! I love the theme song.
Yeah,
I do think, and I do want to eventually talk about some of the other things it offers as a whole package, because while I do think that the main game hasn't aged particularly well, if we're looking at all the content it has to offer, the main game is the least of its concerns. The main game, like I said, I think it's alright. I think there's fun to be had there, but a lot of the problems from the original Banana Blitz carry over, because in order to fix them, you'd really need to, just completely overhaul the game.
Yeah, and at that point,
Make a new game, pretty much.
yeah,
Exactly. I was gonna say it feels like the difficulty curve, which we were talking about a little bit beforehand. The difficulty curve's very off. It's really, really easy for like the first half, and then the second half throws you off a cliff, where it feels like the previous Monkey Ball games, even something like 3D, which I think is more consistently too easy, have like a lot more logical difficulty curves to them.
What I've realized is that the real thing with the difficulty, it isn't as much like the real core behind the game's difficulty is how the jump button doesn't really work in a Monkey Ball game. Like for example, in World 8, there's like the level with the rotating platforms. It's like a straight line. That one's like way harder than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
It's literally just because you have to go with all these like spinning platforms, and you're clearly supposed to jump like ever over them or like around them, whatever. But it just doesn't work. It's like you bounce too much when you land. Like it's way too easy.
The jump
just
feels
to
super
slide off.
clunky.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that's one of the main things that completely ruins the game, the jumping. Just because all of the older games, it's all about momentum. But in Banana Blitz, you can literally just completely halt your momentum by jumping. So it kind of like removes any skill that would have been required in the older games.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then even the levels like in the originals, like there's a lot of levels in the original like Monkey Ball game, particularly Monkey Ball 1, where like the entire challenge of the level was just because you had to like use the analog stick to go and make these very narrow, thin platforms, but you can't do that because Banana Blitz was designed with the Wii remote. So you don't even get those kind of levels.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. And even if those levels were there, most of the time you'd just be able to jump over the narrow gaps anyway.
I was gonna say there are some levels in Banana Blitz that feel like they would maybe be like fairly fun, somewhat challenging levels in the first two games, but you can just cheese the entire thing with the jump button, so it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, it definitely just feels like it wasn't designed like very well. Like they didn't really take into consideration all of the different elements going on.
Feels like to some degree the game is super designed around the Wiimote. What with like the jump button in general feels like, oh, we're not going to be able to make this precise. We need a jump button.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you translate that to a game that uses a traditional analog stick, it just doesn't work because you should be making a game designed around the analog stick, not around a jump button and motion controls.
Exactly.
It is slightly better with the analog stick, but it's still flawed to its core, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think when they considered like remaking a game, they like it's just like we talked about how it was really cheap to port, and it sold the best, which is probably part of the reason they chose to port it. And I think like at the time it felt pretty cool. It was like, all right, well, I'm looking forward to playing this game with the control stick. That might just change my entire experience with it going in. And then you get the game, and I think at the time it was a little more exciting to play it without motion controls, but just now, like, you know, a year later almost, it's not much better in my eyes than the original Banana Blitz, like it is. But I think when you look at the game, there's only so much they could have done to really fix this, and we talked about why this is kind of a bad idea for a port, because it's just like this game, the original game was so flawed. Like the controls were really bad. They were able to fix the controls, but like the rest, it just didn't. I don't know. The levels were still. I think if anything, it exposed the fact that the game still had other issues besides controls, like the levels. It introduced new controls with like the jump button, and then you can tell that the levels were meant to be played with a Wiimote. So I think in some ways, like, I think it exposed some of the level design, and it's like now people are able to look at this and say, well, it's not just the controls that made the original Banana Blitz bad. The levels were legitimately a little, weird. Like you look at a level like 10-5, and it's like that level is a nightmare of casualty, and they didn't even bother fixing it. So it's just kind of like I think if anything, like in the time since, it's almost been a little bit more exposed for some of the game design flaws and problems that a remake just could not fix.
Yeah, basically what you're saying is that like the lack of motion controls kind of just exposes the actual level design for what it is. Like it's just like boring and flat basically. whereas the other ones were like a lot more like vertical. They had a lot more going on with them. They were more abstract, whereas these ones just feel a bit bland by comparison.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, one thing I feel like that's an issue with BBHD is that, like, even as a remake, it's not good as a remake because, like, there are things that are improved. But there are also things like, the controls, but then there's things that, like, they tried to improve them, but they end up making it like worse in some ways. Like, for example, like, there's no practice mode anywhere. There's 0 practice mode. The original Hag one. Because
Right.
And then you also can't switch your characters in the stage select menu. Like, they moved all the stage select stuff. Like, you used to be able to hold down like the B button or something and then hit A to practice the level, so it didn't count towards like the actual 10th of the level. But you could also like switch your characters. Like, they moved all that functionality, basically no reason. And then they also, another thing is the mini games. They tried to okay, I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to take, okay, we have 50 mini games. Most of them suck, whatever. Let's just remove a bunch of mini games and give them the best ones. But the problem is, the games that they selected still weren't that good.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think that was what they did. I think they just selected the 10 ones that were the easiest to make work with traditional controls. I don't think it was even a matter of them picking the 10 best ones.
Honestly,
But even then, you look at a game like the Slingshot game, which is so... I struggle to think that they couldn't have chosen a better game at that point, because
Yeah.
that game, it's horrible with the control stick. Like,
It really is, yeah.
I cannot get a single target on it unless I play it a few times. There's some games in there which I just don't think even work with control stick, and
No.
Extreme made for the Wii.
The thing is, though, they arguably didn't even put one of the easiest ones into port, and what would have probably been the best one as well, which was I can't remember exactly what it's called. Is it called like Monkey Wars or something? But it's the
I think
first
that's it.
shooter one. Like, why is that not in Banana Blitz HD?
That would be so much better.
Yeah, them removing minigames ended up being a bad thing. Ended up making the game worse, because at least if you had the 50 minigames, you had the 50 minigames. You had more content to work
Quantity,
with.
at least, yeah.
So you still have 10 awful minigames. You just don't have the other 40, where there might have been 2 or 3 good ones to choose from.
That's a lot of the issue too. Is it's like, they were like, okay, we're gonna really hone down and fix these 10, but they just they didn't. So instead of having quality over quantity, you have neither.
Yeah, so the original problem with the game was if you look at the game originally, that was one of the biggest complaints. There's 50 mini games and they're not good, and that's another point where a remake can only do so much. So you address that complaint that there's quantity over quality. You address that complaint, but you don't address it in a way that fixes anything. It literally is just Banana Blitz, but less Banana Blitz, if that makes any sense. And that's my point again, is that this game was not the greatest choice for a remake, because there are fundamental flaws with the whole package that just cannot be fixed unless you completely overhaul things.
Yeah, and they were given such a low time period and budget. It basically feels like they're putting a band-aid over Banana Blitz. They didn't they kind of fixed it, but not really. For another example was the time attack mode. That would have been cool, right? Classic monkey ball game mode kind of returning. But the problem is they still have the bosses, which is the fatal flaw in the mode.
That's one of the main things I hate about the game. The boss battles, in my opinion, literally completely ruin the entire experience. If they weren't in the game at all, if they had just been cut in the remake, it would be so much better. But
and if they just removed the bosses from time attack, that would have felt like a more classic monkey ball mode. That would have been oh, that's something I can return to.
It would have been a game that I actually went back to every now and then, but because the bosses are there, it just completely interrupts the flow of the game.
Yeah, just completely ruined a good mode. So no one's gonna I don't play time attack that often because I have to play the bosses, which is what I don't want to play.
Yeah, no, literally that would be the reason to come back to it, and they just wrecked it. Going kind of back to the subject of party games too, I'm especially irritated that they were like, we'll do quality over quantity and put in 10 mini games, when really, and I'm gonna be honest, this might be a little reductive, But, in my opinion, the only thing they had to do to make the minigames worthwhile in any capacity was just fix Monkey Target. That's the one that everyone likes, and it sucks.
It's so bad. It's such a bad version of that. Like,
if they only had Monkey Target as the only minigame, it would have been fine.
If they fixed it, if it was
like
just
a
good
good
Monkey
version.
Target and that was it, no one would have complained. It would have been fine.
I'll propose this. They fix that. They bring back some of the other classics and just build them from the ground up, like billiards, golf. Like, there were so many options. But that's the thing. Like, you start doing that, it becomes... That's what they needed to do, in my opinion, to make it a good product. But you start doing that, and then suddenly it's not even a remake. It's like half of a new game. But like,
right.
See, and that's what makes this whole situation so awkward. It's like you're either getting like a new, like a pseudo new game, or like you're trying to stay true to the original when the original is just so flawed that you cannot continue working on it. So it's almost like this project was like doomed to fail. Sometimes I look at it. Like, granted, it didn't fail, quote unquote. It sold fine. I think I don't really know, honestly. It sold fine. It got like, it wasn't like an abomination. It got like, you know, at least 5 out of 10s on most things, 6 out of 10s. It wasn't like something that killed the franchise or anything. But so failure might be a little harsh, but at least in the eyes of people like us, it is a little bit of a failure. I think it's fair to say.
No, absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
I do think that's an interesting point to bring up too, because I think to myself, like, oh, well, if they wanted better minigames, you know, like, it probably wouldn't have been too hard to put in, like, oh, they could do like Monkey Fight, or they could do like this or that. And at that point, it's like, if you're gonna do that, why didn't you just port over the original game instead? Why did you port over Banana Blitz, the one that no one likes?
Yeah, and it's like, I think we briefly mentioned this in a previous podcast, but surely it would have been just as easy, if not easier, to port over Banana Splits, right? Like the PlayStation Vita one.
Actually, like, good Monkey Ball game.
Yeah, it already uses analog controls. It's already in HD, so it would have been easier to have upscaled it. Like, all they needed to do was change the menus. That's literally all they needed to do.
Here's the problem with that, right? Here's the problem with that. Like, I agree. We know that is the correct choice almost, but it didn't sell as well. It doesn't have that recognition, and they very much looked at what would sell the best. It was very clearly, like, I think they even confirmed it in an interview that it was mainly because it sold the best. You look at a game like Splits, which deserves more recognition and more attention, and deserves to be ported, but because it's not going to sell as well, it's just something that it just gets the chopping block, which really sucks when you think about how this game was like mainly monetarily driven, but at the same time, like, for a franchise that's been dormant for a while, they maybe didn't even have a choice besides porting either this or Monkey Ball 1 and 2. So it was tough, but I think they maybe should have just done 1 and 2 from the get-go.
I was gonna say, what part of what hurts me about this is it's like, oh, yep, we have Banana Blitz HD because that's the easiest one to port. Literally, they could have just, like, taken the GameCube ROM for 2. No, they wouldn't have even had to give it widescreen. It already has it.
Yeah.
And just, like, throw it up on digital storefronts, and it would have sold better.
Literally just a port, not even a remaster.
Yeah, just like emulate it. It would have been fine.
Yeah, exactly. It probably would have done even better than Banana Blitz HD as well.
Yeah,
that's what hurts about it so much, is they could have done something so much lazier, and it probably would have been better.
And you look at like Banana Blitz, honestly, like, probably doesn't even have, like, it does not have as much nostalgia as 1 and 2 do. Like, technically Banana Blitz sold better. I don't think it was like an insane amount, and I think nostalgia from 2001, I think that is like the perfect time for nostalgia dating back to like 2001, 2002, because the GameCube generation we are adults now, we are in our 20s, we are in college, like, we crave for that nostalgia, whereas Banana Blitz, like, I don't know, I don't, like, kids are still going to be nostalgic for it, but that's going to be like 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds who really have that true nostalgia, I think, as opposed to something like our generation, which I think it would have sold a lot better if they tapped into that nostalgia rather than 2006 nostalgia.
Even
Oh,
with
yeah.
that,
Totally
like,
agree.
who plays Banana Blitz and has like a deep emotional attachment to it? I mean, I know
I think a
people,
lot of people fucking hated that game, honestly.
but it's like, I mean, I don't know how many people like are really like fonding, want to go back to the days of Banana Blitz 1. Like, really.
I mean, I
like,
do see a fair amount of people in comments that are like, "Oh, I grew up with this game," but I
That's what I
have
grew
to
up with
wonder, one, how much are those opinions blinded by nostalgia? Two, what percentage of people that played Banana Blitz as children really is that? And three, I don't have a third point, but you get the idea.
They get past World 3.
They get
Yeah.
How many people played it for like more like a significant amount of time before switching to like Wii Sports or Mario Galaxy or something?
It almost makes it feel like a soulless product because like the more you think about it, the more you really realize how it was like this was chosen because they thought it would make them the most money. But it's something that I think might alienate fans long term, which is I think when you look at it, like there's gonna be people who buy this game because of nostalgia, think it's bad. Sega got the money, they got those sales, but those consumers in the future may not want to buy another Monkey Ball product. Whereas 1 and 2, yeah, maybe you get a few less people, but I don't even think you would get that many less sales from it. And B, you keep those consumers happy, they're more likely to buy the next Monkey Ball game. So I think they were just they wanted that extra monetary push, but it's not the greatest idea long term. It's more of a short term fix, I think, is the issue. And
Yeah, I agree.
really
It was just a very short-sighted decision to pick Banana Blitz, because even though Banana Blitz is probably the best-selling one, the thing you've got to consider with that as well, though, is that the only reason that it was the best-selling one is because it was a Wii launch title and just everybody had a Wii. So
Yeah.
it's not the quality of the game that made it sell very well. It's just the fact that it was on such a popular console.
I think Jeff made an excellent point about it being alienating long term, because I've personally had the experience where, I'll have friends like bring up Monkey Ball to me because they know I like Monkey Ball, and they're like, "Oh, hey, like that game seems fun. I want to play it." And I'm like, "Well, what do you have?" And they're like, "I have a Switch." And I'm like, "Ah, jeez." Like I want to recommend it so badly because it's my favorite franchise and it's the only game you can get on all the modern platforms. But it feels so bad because I'm like, I don't want that to be someone's first impression of Monkey Ball. Like,
Yeah,
especially like if they hear about it and they're like, "Oh, like Monkey Ball has cool party game." Like, I'd love to play like all these like cool party games multiplayer, because Banana Blitz, as we've already mentioned, is maybe the worst example of party games in the entire series.
oh,
The
for
HD
sure.
version even more so
Even-
because there's less of them.
Even Junior has really good minigames.
Yeah, it
Junior's
does.
mini
Yeah.
games are way better than Banana Blitz HD. It's not even close, which is
I mean,
really
Junior
sad.
in general is like really impressive. Like I actually
Junior
have
even
a lot
has
of fun
competition
playing it.
mode, kind
Junior
of.
at least has like a novelty factor to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
I think
I don't
it's a
know.
shame that the only Monkey Ball game you can buy on modern consoles is Banana Blitz. Like, there are so many games being ported to modern consoles and remade nowadays, and I think it's criminal that Monkey Ball 1 and 2 has not been ported on anything besides technically the original Xbox and PS2 in the form of deluxe. I think it's a shame that
Yeah, it's never received
nothing.
any like ports outside of that generation of consoles, which is
You'll see a
ridiculous.
company. You'll see
Oh,
a company like
absolutely.
Capcom put stuff like thinking Resident Evil 6 to every platform still, even though it's Resident Evil 6. Yeah, we can't see
Literally.
Sega port one good Monkey Ball game. Anything. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, no, they're like, they don't do anything with Monkey Ball for like what, like 6 years, and then they're like,
7 years.
well, I guess it's time to port an old game. Let's pick the worst one. It's like, okay, thanks.
Let's use a random number generator to decide what game to pick.
It almost landed on Splits, but oh no, would you look at that? It's like,
If
okay.
anything, the only way Banana Blitz HD succeeded was by accident, by making Monkey Ball 1 and 2 fans angry and make them like rally up. Make like
That's
content
true,
on
yeah.
YouTube and stuff. Like that's the only way it succeeded, is that it got Monkey Ball fans talking about how bad this game was how much
I mean,
we need
yeah.
a better game.
For as much as I like to criticize it, one thing it did do is it did actually make me go back and discover the original ones, because prior to playing Banana Blitz HD, I had literally only ever played Deluxe on the PS2, which is really bad. So, yeah, it did have that effect on me.
Oh yeah, Jonii, bring up your point about the Switch. There is Paperball coming to the Switch, so I guess you can recommend on that instead.
Oh, that's true.
Much better game than Banana Blitz HD.
Just like, I want to play Monkey Ball on the Switch. Should I get this Monkey Ball game? It's like, no, get this game that's not called Monkey Ball, but is fundamentally a better Monkey Ball game.
This does not have a ton to do with the discussion, but like, since it's been a year, we could point out that it's got like a few like compilation releases, and it got a release with like Sonic Forces. Like
that was so funny to me because they were
those
like,
games are both like 5 out of 10s.
They were like, here's our bundles for the Switch, and they bundled like Sonic Mania with Team Sonic Racing. It's like, that's a really good deal. And then they stick 2 games that no one wants together.
The mediocre bundle.
You know, I bought it for the meme, right? And when I went to Target, it was the last copy. I literally bought the last copy.
Someone's
of the
buying
Banana
them.
Blitz and Forces combination.
So I want to make another point here that when Banana Blitz HD released, it was $50 on Switch or $40. I don't remember.
It's 40.
Okay. Which I think is a really bad price, honestly. But in the time since, there is a point to be made. It has been a year. This is the name of the episode. But like in the time since, it's gone down in price. And now it's $30, I think, on most avenues. And it's very, very often on sale. It's like one of those Switch games that's like on sale like every week. And on PC, it's on sale a lot.
Perpetually on sale.
I think when you think about this game as a $40 game versus like, let's just say $20, I think it becomes a little bit better. And that's something important to note. One of my initial criticisms with it was like, this game is not $40. This is not.
I do have a
$40
counterpoint
game.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bit of a counterpoint as well.
My counterpoint is Paperball is $12.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say.
That's my counterpoint.
Yeah.
Buy Paperball instead. That's the moral of this podcast.
Paperball has like, what, 250 levels, something like that?
And there's also like, you can get like 30 or 40 more for like $6 or something. Like,
yeah, that's insane. But yeah, there's that many levels in Paperball, which is this like indie version of Super Monkey Ball. And then the official Super Monkey Ball game technically has 100 levels, but it doesn't really even have that because that counts bonus levels and boss levels. So it has like 80 really around.
What
that
about the
amount
dangerous
anyway.
route levels? That's like 3 more, right?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, my point is that like Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD, that's a very long name to say out loud like that. Yeah, but with that, you're just not getting the value for money. Even if it was like $20, it's just not worth it.
Even Monkey Ball 1 had more content.
I
So
think
I
it's an
agree.
okay $20 game.
I agree and disagree at the same time. Like, yeah, the game is not even a $20 game. Like, it would be best suited at $10. But like, here's the thing. It's just unrealistic to expect it to be like that. Like, you're looking at like name brand versus, third party. I'm trying to think of the right word. Name brand versus like
Say
indie.
Indie.
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
In most cases, it's just you're never gonna have the main product is never gonna be as cheap as the indie product. Like, Sega is gonna want to charge people for the Super Monkey Ball name. While I agree, it'd probably morally be best at $20. It's just not realistic, I think, to expect it to be that. So, yeah, it
kind of ties into the problem where Sega was banking on this game that they knew wouldn't do well, considering that even like when it came out on Steam, like a couple months after release, it was already discounted and on sale on release.
It does amuse me that this seems to happen with most Sega games now. See Sonic Forces, which I regularly see on sale for Switch for $20.
I've seen it for less on PlayStation.
And Sonic Forces is like a main installment in their biggest franchise. This happens to them so often because I don't know. Like, I like a lot of things about Sega, and this is a bit of a side point that I don't want to stick on, but they put out a lot of mediocre games.
Oh yeah, a
Kind of
lot.
problem.
And they've also got an issue with not touching loads of their IPs. Like, they've not made a Crazy Taxi game in forever. There's not been a House of the Dead for a long time.
I think they're getting a little better with that lately, but yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they're going back to like Ghosts and Goblins now, which is nice to see. They did a new Alex Kidd game as well, didn't
Alex
they, recently?
Kidd. Yep, Streets of Rage, Space Channel 5.
What Sega's really been doing is that they've just been licensing out all their good franchises to like indie companies. They've been doing a much better job than they have.
Let's bring up this, okay? Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before eventually they have to get to Monkey Ball 1 and 2. There's no insane licensing issues that we know of that's holding it back. We're seeing stuff like Alex Kidd, there was Panzer Dragoon last year. We're seeing all these Sega properties surface in some form, catering specifically to nostalgia. We have the rumors about Super Monkey Ball Retro. Now that it's been over a year since Banana Blitz HD, what do you guys see next happening? Do you think it will happen at some point? Do you think the Monkey Ball Retro project? We don't know what happened to it at all. It could be because of COVID. It could be because of miscommunication at Sega. What do you guys think is like happening this year, if anything? Like, when do you think Monkey Ball is finally going to get its time in the sun? Because I'd argue it's only a matter of time. I just don't know when.
I do think Retro will probably happen. Either that or we'll get maybe a port of the original games if that somehow falls through. I feel like it's got to be like... I don't want to be too optimistic and say this year, but I feel like it's got to be within like the next few at least. Monkey Ball is not a franchise that seems to have a very long turnaround period once a game actually begins development.
It is Monkey Ball's 20th anniversary, so...
Oh, that's true!
We'll see, maybe. I think the two main possibilities is either Retro does come out and it's good, or even if Retro doesn't do well, they'll probably just throw it to some indie company like they did with every other franchise. And they'll probably make a pretty good game.
I literally, if they handed it to like the rolled out people, like it would probably be fine.
Even they can hand it out to Paperball people, Vote Out people, literally anyone else that isn't Sega, and I'm pretty sure it would be fine.
The Paperball people and the rolled out people should team up.
I trust both of those people to make a good Monkey
Yeah,
Ball
like it could have its like Sonic Mania experience, right? Like where like they make this like they're making the fan games, they're making games eventually like a lot of notoriety, and then Sega can recruit. I mean, like, you know, it seems a little far-fetched, but this could happen. They recruit some of those people, and they're like, yeah, there's a market for this still, and yeah, maybe that's the direction they go, is they kind of have it be a Sonic Mania type experience. I don't know if that's ultimately what they'll think to do. But
I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting seeing how well Paperball does on the Switch, because if that does do insanely well for whatever reason, surely Sega are going to pay attention to that. Like in the same way that Taxi Chaos game has just come out on Switch and on everything else. Like if that does really well, that's going to make Sega consider doing a crazy taxi game.
Sega did publish it in Japan, I think.
And this is kind of an interesting point, because when Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD was announced, it was, I think, days, or at least it was rumored, days after Rolled Out started becoming discussed. And do you guys think that had anything to do with it? I think we've talked about this in maybe like a voice chat before, but like, do you guys think that had anything to do with it? Like, or is it just a coincidence? Like, I think they're paying attention. I think they're being cognizant of these things.
I think at most they might have rolled the announcement out a little earlier than they had initially planned to because of Rolled Out. I don't think the game entered development because of Rolled Out.
No, because then the game's development turnaround would have been like ridiculously short, like even shorter than what it was reported to be. I think they were in development at the same time.
Port it to Unity.
They said it was like 6 months, so it's possible it might like just barely like line up. But I really doubt that they I don't know. I don't think Sega's that stupid. I don't think they would like instantly randomly greenlight a project just
that
because
would be
of a fan
so
game.
funny. Just like, wait, people are gonna buy this?
I don't know. I don't know Sega though, so who knows? Maybe Vote Out inspired like an employee to bring up the idea or something. Like who knows?
I could see there being some kind of like impact.
I feel like it's more likely a
that,
coincidence more than it is direct inspiration. But it's still funny nonetheless that the timings like line up so close.
It is pretty amusing. Yeah, I don't know. I have to imagine Sega generally seems to have. Then again, I don't know if I've seen this with any of their other franchises other than Sonic. But with Sonic, they usually seem to have some idea what the fans are up to.
That's true, yeah, they do.
But I don't know if they pay the same attention to their other franchises.
Yeah, I mean,
Hard
the
to tell.
issue is with some of their other franchises, the issue would be that they don't have anywhere near as, like, big of a fan base. So, like, it's kind of difficult because there's no, like, one place where all of the Super Monkey Ball fans are, like there kind of is with Sonic.
I mean, it'd be
Right.
kind of hard for them to not notice all the Monkey Ball fans, considering how many of them mentioned 1 and 2 on the Twitter. They exist, like.
Yeah, they
Anyways.
know there's a community for it right now. It's just a matter of, are we gonna see that tapped into? Anytime soon. It's tough to say. Like we had some kind of insight we thought from Brian Matt. We thought we got really excited, and credit to him. I think he follows most of us on Twitter. Great guy, engaged in the community. But I think we've had a little bit of almost miscommunication from him. So it's tough to say. Like I was a lot more optimistic when he was saying that there was stuff coming, but it just feels like almost recently there isn't anything coming. Like my mood about the future of the series completely shifted almost because
Oh, maybe you'll watch the last podcast and decide to just stop updating people.
yeah, I know he does check in with us, so like we did talk a little like maybe like down on him last time. He's a very nice guy, so we're not he's.
Oh yeah, it's
listening to
nothing
this.
against him
Yeah.
personally.
We were just it's just a weird position I think for both fans and him. I think there's been maybe some miscommunication at Sega. Like we've seen some weird stuff happening at Sega recently, right? Like
For
Sonic
sure.
team is being restructured in terms of voice actors. And it's weird right now. I think Sega is.
Didn't they,
weird state.
Didn't they switch CEOs recently?
Yeah.
I believe
So
so.
that could
Yeah,
have
there's
a big-
probably been a lot going on then behind the scenes that's just not been being made public. So I
Will
don't
this
know.
be 2005 part 2? We'll find out. Maybe it'll be the reverse of it. Maybe it'll finally become a good
They'll
company.
fix it. Amusement Vision.
Yeah.
Game
F-Zero
back.
GX2. Maybe.
I mean, I think Nagoshi said like, someone asked like, "Do you want to work on F-Zero again?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
I mean, yeah. Why would you not want to work on F-Zero?
I can't imagine saying no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm, and again, this is a broader point because I'm very interested in this on the Sonic angle as well. But I'm very interested to see what direction they end up taking in the next couple of years because it definitely seems like they're shaking a lot of stuff up.
We're definitely like something is about to happen. We're right before that point. Is what it seems like.
Yeah.
So
I
many
think
games-
there's a-
6-2, Sonic
many
07.
There's so many games being rumored. There's like so much up in the air. Like this
I think
restructuring.
I think it all came at a bad time as well. Like we had,
Oh, for sure.
of course, the COVID pandemic, which probably does not help the way things have gone in the game industry. I'm gonna I don't know, it's probably a hot take, but I know it's definitely impacted probably a lot. I think if this was more of a normal year, we'd probably see some of these rumors come more to fruition. I think, but
I think so too. I think because we saw that even with Nintendo, who was very adamant for a while. It's like, no, we didn't. No, like it's changed nothing. It definitely changed stuff for them.
yeah,
I have to
yeah.
imagine Sega was shaken up in a similar way.
And I think it affected everyone. Like
For sure.
PS5 had the limited production where there was all the scalpers.
Nobody has
Nintendo had like their worst year since 2016 last year, not financially, but like in terms of like releases, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think
For sure.
Nintendo have just basically pushed a lot of their stuff back by like 6 months or so because I imagine the Super Mario 3D World for the Switch was supposed to come out at the end of last year, but they had to
Yeah.
backdate it.
It
Probably like
feels
around
that
like
way,
November or
'cause
something.
Last year
Yeah.
was the whole big Mario anniversary celebration, so it's like
Yeah, exactly. So it would have made sense, and that probably means that they've had to push back a lot of Zelda stuff for this year that was supposed to be out a lot earlier. Like I imagine
For
Skyward
sure.
Sword HD was probably supposed to be a lot earlier in the year, but I don't know. I'm just speculating.
We're supposed to be here about Breath of the Wild probably by now.
Oh yeah, almost definitely.
Absolutely. Splatoon 3 probably a little
I
earlier.
mean, that might have been the same.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. That one probably still would have been this year.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been announced earlier. I don't know. With Mario and Zelda, I think you can make a lot more compelling of a case for.
I mean, you've
I
only got
agree
to
with
look
that.
at the infrequency of the Nintendo Direct to see how much it affected
Oh,
them.
absolutely. They literally didn't have a main direct for like over a year.
Yeah, it was a very long time, wasn't it? Like, was it like 350 days or was it more than that? It was something like that.
It was more than that. It was quite a while. Like I think that the last direct before this week was September 2019,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
which is that is a long time. I think it's like 450 days or something.
Wait,
Tells you just how much the release dates got shifted around.
I found an article from February 2020 that said it had been 162. So I could do the math on that, but
So
It depends on what they define as a direct, though.
that's true.
So yeah,
They
I
coulda
think,
kinda
I
like
think,
the
I think
minis with
ultimately with Brian Matt talking so much about the monkey ball game and the COVID situation, I think it lines up in a way where we can say he probably, some fans have like accused him of misleading. I don't think that's his intention. I mean, I think it's a bad time for the gaming industry, and I think we understand that, but it's almost like a matter of when will this come to fruition? Like, we might be waiting for another year. Like, this pandemic still does not necessarily end right now. But granted, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We'll see. I mean, time will tell. If we're like in 2023 and pandemic's over and there's still no new games, then I have no idea what happened. But
Yeah.
we'll have to see. It's just going to be a matter of time here, I think, for us.
I do think worst comes to worst and like retro ends up not being a thing. And maybe I think worst case scenario, the franchise will end up going dormant again for a couple years before it inevitably gets another revival. I can't imagine they'll keep it dead forever.
And one of the best legacies that I think BBHD will have if new games come out is it did re-spark some fans' passions, I think.
For sure.
I think if there is new games coming out, that will be the ultimate legacy of BBHD. Like, it brought back the series in a way. It's too early to say that now. We still don't know what will happen. So yeah, it's in a weird spot, but I think there's still time for us to say BBHD revive this series, and we'll just have to see what comes out, because it's a weird time for all this to happen, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, in regards to the gaming industry, things have been pretty unpredictable. So all bets are off. I think it's really hard to tell. Again, also Sega in general. There's also been where's the Sonic news? There hasn't been any really significant Sonic news in a while, other than the cartoon. So it's I don't know. It feels like they're gonna have to announce stuff sooner rather than later.
That'd be weird to go a whole anniversary without anything.
Oh yeah,
I mean-
actually, yeah, it's Sonic's anniversary and Monkey Ball's anniversary this year.
I mean, it is always a possibility that Sega are saving a lot of announcements to either do at E3, if E3 even happens this year, or
I think E3 is
alternatively,
confirmed to be happening.
yeah. So if Sega are there, they might have quite a lot of announcements then, or alternatively, they might start doing Sega Directs. You never know.
I could see.
They
I could
teased
see
something
it.
like that last year.
A lot of other companies have been jumping on that.
I could definitely see them. I don't know what they usually do for E3, but I could see them having a strong presence this year, especially with Sonic's anniversary.
They usually have a mini presentation, a 20-minute kind of showcase. So there could be something, or maybe maybe something that happens is it's part of a Nintendo partner showcase was something I could see happening, and then it ends up being multi-plat perhaps, but they just announced it on Nintendo's.
Right, maybe timed exclusive kind of deal. I mean, that's what they did on Wii U. They had Sonic Lost World along with the 2 other games.
So there are going to be avenues. I think honestly, Sega will want to put it on Nintendo consoles first and foremost, just because I feel like that's where things sell the best. I think that's the best selling version of BBHD.
I definitely think that's where the audience
Besides
for Monkey
PC,
Ball would
maybe?
be.
I don't know for sure, but yes. So they'll
Yeah,
at
it'd
least
be
want to
interesting.
announce it on that.
Timed
Yeah,
exclusive Xbox One, let's go!
Let's go.
Xbox Series X. No, it's 2021.
The only exclusive?
The only exclusive on
Oh,
Xbox Series X is Monkey Ball. That'd be
You want to
poetic.
play Monkey Ball in 4K at 240 frames per second? It's like,
It would be really interesting to see how well it sold on different platforms, because like you would assume that it would have sold a lot more on the Nintendo Switch and hardly anything on the Xbox, but nobody can say that for
I
sure.
was gonna say maybe like a couple 100,000 on Switch, like fucking like 3 copies on Xbox. Something like that, I don't know. The Xbox version of that game is so funny to me.
Yeah. I
No
think
one
the thing
wants
what we
it.
can all take out of this is buy Paperball on Nintendo Switch.
By paper
Oh,
ball.
we need to do a follow-up episode on that, honestly. That should be like one of the next
I want to.
I'm definitely going to be reviewing that when it comes out.
I'll
I'm really
probably
looking forward to that.
Well, assuming the
Yeah.
price isn't like insane.
I
Ship
think
it
the
out.
price is already on there. Yeah, you can pre-order it now. I think it's something like £17. I could be wrong with that.
It's like
But
probably $20.
it's around that.
Look into this.
Assuming it includes all the DLCs plus all the new levels that they
Yeah,
added.
I'm sure I would.
Paper ball
Yeah, I think it's called
Deluxe for
Paperball
Switch.
Deluxe, so it has
Yeah,
everything.
18 bucks.
Yeah.
Ah, that's not bad. I'll do that right now.
Cool. So stay tuned for the Jeff Compass and Pixel Pursuit videos on Paperball.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to giving it a go. It apparently has a co-op mode, which is something that I've been asking for from the Super Monkey Ball series for a very long time.
I was
Yeah.
literally just about to say, why doesn't Banana Blitz HD have that?
Yeah, I mean, Banana Blitz HD has like practically no multiplayer. Like, it has no multiplayer for the main game.
Literally, which is such a... We didn't even talk about that, but that's like one of my biggest criticisms of it, because
Yeah.
like multiplayer for the main game of Super Monkey Ball is one of my favorite things to do with it, because it's the main game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so
That's-
easy.
And yeah, like, it would have been so easy for them to have implemented that as well, because it wouldn't have needed to have been simultaneous multiplayer. It should have just have had the one where you take it in turns. That would have been
Oh, right.
perfectly
like one
fine.
and two have.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's such a... It's places like that where it's such easy things they could have added and just didn't, where I think Banana Blitz... I mean, that's not the main area where it suffers, obviously, because the main gameplay is not excellent, but that's a really major complaint I have that really kills a lot of the game's longevity, because if you could play the main game multiplayer, that would give it so much more replay value.
Definitely, yeah. It's just a shame that they never really did any significant updates to the game. Like, they could have added so much content into it, which would have made it quite a lot better, but they just never did anything with it.
Closest we got was the PC update that added the cool
The
different ball
cube.
variants.
Yeah, but I've
play
never
the
even been able to
cube.
try that because I don't have the PC version. Like, why wasn't that on the console versions?
Honestly,
Console version that was more expensive.
honestly,
exactly.
It's dumb.
And another
I don't
thing
know.
that really annoys me is that on the leaderboards are like one of the main selling points of the entire game because they're online, but you can only view the top 100 players. Like, what's with that? Why not just
So
let you see
dumb.
your rank on, like, the whole leaderboard?
Aren't they separated by console too?
Yeah, I think they are, yeah.
Xbox leaderboard, 2 people. Yeah, I don't get it.
Because it gets rid of the satisfaction. Like, if you're not good enough to get into the top 100, which, let's face it, like, not a lot of people would be good enough at it, like,
Right.
it doesn't really give you any incentive to get better because you're not seeing your rank go up. It's just constantly just like a cross. Because
Yeah,
you're not in
if
the
I'm
top
gonna-
100.
Only it wasn't bosses, I'd be more motivated to play it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I
Honestly.
mean, I was playing it a little bit before we started this, and, like, the bosses just... It took me longer to do the bosses than what it did the actual game. It's that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just Banana Blitz HD is nothing if not a game of missed opportunities. I mean, other than me being just a flawed concept from the get-go, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was doomed to fail is the issue. I
They
really
could've-
think it was doomed to at least maybe not fail, but be how it is, which is just a
I was gonna
mediocre
say,
product.
like, honestly, even if they did everything, even if they were like, hey, we only have 3 party games, but they're all really, really good. We have the challenge mode without boss battles. You have multiplayer. You have all this stuff. It still would have been like a pretty mid-tier Monkey Ball.
The
game,
main
I
game
guess.
is still flawed enough where it just like would not be good.
Yeah, it would have been like better, but it wouldn't have been amazing or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have been the second worst one, at least in my opinion. If they would have fixed all of that stuff, I think it would have been a lot better. Like I was saying earlier, like I think I would have actually have gone back to play it if it had been like fixed with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think they could have made it more mid-tier rather than lower tier.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, closing thoughts here.
Game bad. I don't know. I think, as Jeff has said, like picking Banana Blitz was a poor decision from the get-go. The game does a fairly respectable job of improving, but it has a lot of missed opportunities that take away from its replay value. And I think ultimately, the fact that currently that was the last game released leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, because it's a fairly difficult game to recommend to people new to the franchise, and I think either a new game or a port, remake, whatever, of 1 and/or 2 would have gone way better, and I hope we see one of those things eventually.
Yeah, but this has been EE Podcast. Any other thoughts, Pixel/Ninja?
I mean, my only other thought is that it's just a shame that they never updated the game post-release to make it better. Like, they never added in collectibles, which were a thing in some of the later Monkey Ball games. They never made it so you could move the camera with the right analog stick. Just really basic stuff like that they could have easily implemented. They just never got around to it. So it's just a shame that they didn't just, like, support the game after launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. My closing thoughts are there's character stats, it's a 0 out of 10.
True. Character stats and the jump button. Everyone's favorite things about Monkey Ball.